What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about that really bad Fable rumor. Well, bad for two different reasons, right? Bad for if it was real, which it's not. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. But if it was real, it would signal disaster for the studio, for Fable as a game, the new one, right? Obviously, the new game Microsoft announced a little while ago. But also bad in the sense that it was so bad that it was actually deleted off the entire internet after about one day. It didn't make it longer than, I don't even think it made it longer than about 12 to 14 hours, let alone the full 24. So I didn't, and this is my mistake. Normally when these things pop up, first thing you should do, you just take a screenshot of it, right? That way you can, of course, make content and laugh and do all, or cry, or, whatever you want to do, even if the post was removed. So part of the thing that just made this actually outrageously crazy is it got blasted so badly, and actually it's erased from everywhere. Originally, this came from 4chan, and to sum up the rumor without getting too much into the nitty-gritty, because we actually can't, because I'm an idiot who didn't do the screenshot, we basically had the rumor that the game is just a train wreck. It had to be restarted internally, but also at the same time, I'm almost positive part of the rumor was it was, restarted. They had to kind of start from scratch, but it still would try to make a Q4 2024 release. Now, it seems like the biggest part that people had issues with is like the game wasn't restarted. The game is not an absolute train wreck, right? That's the biggest part. But you could also look at some of the logic mistakes in the rumor itself, where it's like, so they restart, look at your calendar right now, go to your planner, go to wherever, and say, okay, well, give them like a couple months to say, all right, well, this news story is maybe a little bit old, and then say, okay, they started in the fall of 2022 again. They have 2 years to get this game out. That's how fast they're going to go. It makes no sense. If you restart your game from scratch today, right now, the game is not coming out within 2 years. It's just not. So that part initially just doesn't make any kind of sense. Then you had all of these industry experts, whether they be kind of rumor mill people or also just people that are like co-founders or co-head editors of whatever, right? All these people that have high positions just blasting it and saying that just flat out, this is not true. And not only did the people that kind of spread it around on Twitter take the post down, but if you go back all the way to 4chan where it was, originated, that post has also been deleted. It's also been removed from Reddit, like everywhere. This has been scrubbed off the internet. But I think basically it just turned out to be so wrong and so bad that let's just remove it. It should never have been said in the first place, basically. Now, I will say a couple things. Well, number one, 4chan is not the greatest place to get info from. Now, I'm not going to say that you should just immediately brush something from 4chan off. My general rule of thumb is if I see a rumor or a leak or, whatever they want to call themselves from 4chan, the first thing that I do is say it's probably not going to happen, right? Initially, it's skepticism. Initially, it's pessimism. And you say, I don't really think it's going to happen. The only time, in recent memory, recently, like the last year or two, was the Sly Cooper stuff. Now, it turns out the Sly Cooper stuff ended up also not being real at the end of a very, very long journey. But even that, which actually did originate at 4chan, was then backed up from the industry. So it actually had the reverse point, right? People saw it on 4chan, said, hey, people on 4chan are saying that Sly's coming back. Wouldn't that be a world, right? Wouldn't that be fantastic? And then people online said, wait a second, no, that actually is true. And it's like, wait a second, what? Whereas this was the reverse, came from 4chan, and people said, that's not true, take it down, stuff like that. So there's the difference there. Again, I guess it depends on how you want to approach the 4chan rumors. Another thing to say, of course, is this is an issue, and I'm not like blasting just Microsoft here. This is an industry kind of thing. When you reveal a game years and years and years and years before the game comes out, and then you don't do yearly, every half year kind of updates to said game, you get this stuff. I'm not saying you're like full on inviting this stuff into your life, because ultimately, what does this do to the studio? Like, did yesterday affect them in any way? You don't want it to, right? So I'm not saying they just open the floodgates to themselves. And I'm not even just saying that for Microsoft. You can go through anybody. You could say the Wonder Woman game, where is that? You announced it a year ago. You haven't talked about it for an entire full year. You start to raise questions. I would say, in terms of like a skepticism of the game, of the product, that is an issue when you do things like this. And we're using Fable as an example because the rumor was on Fable, but it applies to any game. When you announce a game 4 or 5 years before it comes out, number one, please stop doing that. I understand that generally in the world we live in now, it's basically just to hire people. You tell them, hey, we're making this game. We have nothing on the game. We literally just have this one cinematic, and we just want people to make it for us. So let's show you the trailer. We don't actually have a game. Let's get people in here and let's make this thing, right? That's generally why a Star Wars Eclipse is even a thing nowadays. Maybe even Wonder Woman, right? So can we please stop doing that though, right? Because when you do that and then you take like 2 years off from showing your game, you, in a sense, you invite this kind. Now, I guess you don't invite people. That's the line, right? You're drawing a line. You invite people to be kind of skeptical. You invite people to say, hey, is everything going okay there? Because like you don't really talk about this game that you said you were making. You invite that. I don't know if you invite fake rumors that talk about how the game is in a total catastrophe, that you had to restart the game internally, right? There is definitely a difference between those two sides. I fall on the other side, the first one, where it just raises questions. So honestly, a lot of this would be completely wiped out with better communication. Not even just better, more consistent communication, but also just not revealing your game like 5 years. Because ultimately, to be fair, like against Fable, I guess, in the way, which, by the way, Fable for Xbox is my most anticipated Xbox game. Just want to throw it out there in case anybody calls me any words. It's my most anticipated. I want the game to be good. But when you announce a game and then it most likely is coming out 5 to 6 years after you announce it, come on, that's ridiculous. And again, it's not just Microsoft. Sony has been doing it forever. You know, Nintendo kind of, but I would say they actually do it less. And then you have like the EAs and the Ubisoft that announces games like 30 years before it comes out, right? It's a widespread issue. It's not just a Microsoft issue, but it does invite questions, and then being the internet being the thing that it is, it invites people to just make stuff up, and that's basically the case we had here. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think about Fable, you know, what's going on back there. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on the next one.